It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for August 9th, 2023. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, give me $50 because I said it's commercially accurate, and Starfield means a dollar doesn't go as far as it used to. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa, everybody. Jan, how are you doing?
Hello, lads. It's Wednesday. You know, Lucy James Day. Hoping Lucy feels better. I also hope I'm not offending too many people with this. I think it's slightly better, at least, than Mike Minardi's pack.
Just
because
slightly.
That just sounds like...
Just sounds like a man melting to death.
Of Death Triangle.
Death Triangle. Death Triangle. It's that, you just end every sentence with that and you're good.
It's like he's scrunching up his mouth to just like he's pushing his tongue forward too much to like...
Death Triangle.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Just eat some energy gummies and just drink some cups of tea. Death Triangle.
So there's more of that on the website if you guys want to see that. We did some AEW Tuesday afternoon Slamma-Jamma. That was a good time. I'm still enjoying that game, Jan. Actually, it's fun to. I mean, it's not a great game by any means, but again, playing with friends has been a really good time.
Yes. I had it on in the background. I was editing the Bombcast, and no one likes Dan in AEW, huh?
No. I mean, Dan's the dick in AEW, and Dan's a dick. No, love you, Dan. It was
yes, love you, Dan.
Yeah, it was like when we were selecting character, it's like, oh, jerk will be a fun option, like that'll be a fun character trait, and it's actually just like, okay, like let's settle down, dude. Like this is you don't have to be a doofus to like the waitress. Like it's supposed to be a work guy, but now the game's like, no, we're committing fully to this, and then it's whatever. But every time we get to one of those sightseeing things and he takes like a selfie with another wrestler, I'm very excited. I
love it.
If you are going to make one of these games and you are limited in terms of what you can do, this was the right way to spend your resources. So,
yeah,
I'm enjoying that.
Have fun with it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. All right, we do have a lot happening today, so before we get into this mess, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Take-Two talks Red Dead Redemption Switch price, believes it is, quote, commercially accurate. This comes from Nintendo Everything. Take-Two Interactive has now commented directly on the price of the just-announced Switch version of Red Dead Redemption. The game will cost $50 physically and digitally, which some people aren't happy about. While it received a good amount of acclaim back in the day when the title when the title comes to Switch and PS4, it'll be more straightforward compared to the usual remasters and remakes we've been seeing these days. On top of that, multiplayer won't be included. CEO Strauss Zelnick was recently approached by IGN about the Red Dead Redemption re-release price, and in response, he said, "That's just what we believe is the commercially accurate price for it." Take-Two EVP of Finance, Hannah Sage, chimed in as well. She pointed to the fact that the Undead Nightmare will be included in the main package. However, when asked if Undead Nightmare was the reason for its $50 price, Zelnick said the add-on was a great standalone game in its own right when it was originally released, so we feel like it's a great bundle for the first time and certainly a great value for consumers. Now, Jan, $50 is one of the things people are kind of aching about this remaster, quote-unquote remaster. It's mostly a re-release, but it's like the lack of extra features here. But, they're basically just saying, we think we could sell this for $50 and get away with it. And then they had to translate it a little bit through CEO speak. And here we are. A lot of times, this happens and we complain and then people still end up buying it. That will probably happen here, but I'm a little skeptical. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's still going to happen. I think this is one of those instances where it'd be better served if CEO speak just is don't say anything.
Yes.
Especially with folks kind of being upset that this isn't a full-on remake, and it's really just a port of sorts. I still feel like the Red Dead Redemption 1, or the whole Red Dead Redemption name carries a lot of favor that folks will be we'll still pick it up regardless, especially because this will be available on the Switch. And when it comes to Take-Two titles, Rockstar titles on the Switch, not a lot. Not a lot of good stuff.
Yep.
People are still confused about the lack of PC ports, and I'm still very confused about that. I've been thinking about that a lot since you broke this story. I don't know.
Me neither. Again, it's like you've done the work to port it to other systems now. Like at the same time, it just can't be that much more work to put it on PC.
I can't imagine, especially putting it onto the Switch. Right?
Yeah. These are different pieces of hardware than what it originally launched for. So if you got it up and running on the Switch, there's just no reason for it not to be on PC, unless it is we're doing this now and then we'll launch it on PC 6 months from now, which is something that Rockstar has done, something that Take-Two has done in the past. And it's just like, does that make sense here? No, it doesn't actually. You should just put it on PC at the same time. Like, it's not like, oh, you need a second bump for the original Red Dead Redemption getting ported. It's like, no, this is like the 4th or 5th bump for this game. Just take it all at once. But maybe they were limited and they're like, we think we can sell more. As much as the Switch is very good for people buying games, like people buy a lot of games on there, it is hard for me to see a world in which it sells better on the Switch than it would on PC, where people would probably pop off with mod support and all this stuff, and they haven't had a chance to play this game before, really. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. At the same time, $50, pretty high price for what they're doing here, especially compared to something like Metroid Prime Remastered, which was such a big boy remaster. The term I always go back to. It really lived up to that, and that was $40, and that's actually a much older game too. So it's like the amount of work and making sure that it was properly treated. That was
actual work.
Yes, it was there, evident on the screen, and you're not going to get that feeling here with this Red Dead Redemption re-release. So that price continues to be a little bit off, but they'll start at $50. You're probably going to be able to get it on sale relatively quickly, you think, right?
Yes. Physical copies, definitely.
Right. And the physical copies are coming October 13th, a month later.
Okay. Folks are pointing out, this is ostensibly a 360 game, and that right now it's $30 on Xbox.
That's right. And it has backward compatibility. That is better than what you're going to get from this port.
Yeah. 50 is pretty steep. I'd rather pay for some Ninja Turtles.
Well, okay, I got some good news for you.
Okay.
We'll talk about that in a bit. Take-Two growth slows with anniversary of Zynga acquisition. So all this stuff started happening because Take-Two reported their earnings. This comes from Brendan Sinclair at gamesindustry.biz. Take-Two Interactive today reported its financial results for the quarter ended June 30th. The company continued to post significant losses, but the top-line growth of recent quarters has slowed down due to the acquisition of Zynga closing partway through the year-ago quarter, making for some difficult comparisons going forward. For the numbers, Take-Two's fiscal 2024 first quarter results, net revenue was up 17% to $1.28 billion. Net bookings up 20% to $1.2 billion, but net losses in terms of actual profit nearly doubled to $206 million in losses from a year ago, which when they lost $104 million. In terms of highlights, Take-Two's earnings report this quarter looks a lot like the last few, with significant gains in revenue and bookings paired with significant losses. That's been the pattern ever since Take-Two's acquisition of Zynga closed during the first quarter of its previous fiscal year. But now that the combined Take-Two and Zynga is no longer being compared against the performance of Take-Two on its own, that top-line growth has started to slow. One part of the business that still posted eye-catching growth was recurrent consumer spending, which is their way of saying microtransactions. Let's see, that with net bookings in the virtual currency, DLC, and in-game ads catch-all category growing 38% year over year, and that's Grand Theft Auto Online is a huge part of that, and as well as NBA 2K. Take-Two put a lot of emphasis on growing its recurrent consumer spending over the years. So we asked Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick in an earnings briefing whether it was due to increasing the number of players paying for add-ons, or if it was due to a similar cohort of paying players significantly increasing how much they spend on add-ons. He said, "It could be either mathematically, but our goal is to reach the broadest audience we can and serve them as effectively as we can," Zelnick says. So Take-Two overall is in a kind of a weird position where they are very reliant on these big games that continue to sell microtransactions, and then Zynga is this major purchase that they made that still doesn't necessarily feel like it has made a lot of sense. They spent like 12 billion on Zynga, I think. Big number.
Whoa.
Yeah, a big number. That's 3 times what Disney paid for Star Wars, right? And I don't know. Zynga, I still think of as the Farmville on Facebook company, and those Facebook games went away a long time ago. And Zynga's never really been in the top tier on mobile, although they've grown on mobile a little bit. But I gotta assume some of this like loss has got to be like development of whatever's next from Rockstar, right? That's got to be this massive project with like maybe 1,000 people working on it. And they keep promising like stuff's going to happen here pretty soon. And we'll talk about that here in a second as well. But they are like winding up. They're coiling up, right? That's what these losses are.
Yeah, I'd have to assume that's what those losses are. And also just like differing trends with the audience that Zynga was targeting. I don't really see a lot of folks sending Farmville requests anymore on Facebook.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's always a bunch of very, very charged articles. But I for a long time, Grubb, I haven't thought of Zynga as like a market leader in the mobile gaming space at all. Even King to an extent, like it's just Candy Crush that I think of from them. And then most of the time, I know that Candy Crush still has like an obsessive audience, but it feels like that audience isn't necessarily growing. And like the mobile gaming sphere has moved to sexy anime ladies,
right? And
husbandos and all that jazz.
We're in our waifu era for sure.
Exactly, we're in our waifu era. That this slowdown definitely feels like they are gearing up, and that Take-Two has been gearing up for something big. Perhaps, I'm looking at the next story, but probably a new GTA, right?
Probably, yeah. I mean, that they're promising big, like, record profits here pretty soon, and almost nothing else could be responsible for that because they have an NBA game every year, and that's their other biggest, traditional kind of game and stuff like that. In terms of their earnings, they did say, NBA 2K, Grand Theft Auto Online, Red Dead Redemption 2 are games that continue to make money. The other stuff, that, like, if you're like, well, what else have they done recently? And they don't even list much, but they did say that they're optimistic for Lego 2K Drive long term, which...
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Like that game came and went, right? I mean, that's not to say it can't like grow like so many live service games have grown.
Sure.
But right now it's like, okay, maybe, sure, good luck with that. I don't know if I'd buy it, but
the thing I'm curious about with like an eventual GTA 6 and then a spin-off or I guess a sequel to GTA Online is that audience has been playing that game now for how many years? Yeah. And they've really developed like their own systems, their own lifestyle. Like GTA Online has
10 years,
become
right?
one of those. I think so, right?
I think it's been a full decade.
At least close to 10. Yeah. That a lot of those folks have that has become their like forever game. Like how Minecraft Sea of Thieves will be people's forever game. Are those people willing to go to the next iteration of that?
It's be so hard to thread that needle, right?
Yeah, unless Rockstar just shuts down everything. But then do you just lose those people completely?
Yeah, and then are you in we have a World of Warcraft Classic where we have to bring that back because that's what actually people want. They just want to go back and play that over and over.
Or like Overwatch to Overwatch 2, right?
And this is, it's going to be a difficult thing to pull off. And in the meantime, like, what does Grand Theft Auto 6 have to look like? I think the good news for them is we've seen what pent-up demand can do. Like with Baldur's Gate 3, where people are like, we just want a game like that for the love of God. And people are like, well, I've heard games like that are good. I want to check this out. And everyone's hyped about it. And that is going to get me excited. That is a self-perpetuating machine at a certain point in terms of marketing and word of mouth and getting people hyped to spend money. And Grand Theft Auto 6 is maybe the example of that. That's going to be the thing where everyone already knows they're excited about it. And if they aren't, well, everyone else is excited. So I'm going to get excited too. And Grand Theft Auto 6, when it comes out, almost no matter what, is probably going to be the fastest selling game of all time.
It's also, God, it is going to sell so many consoles. Like it doesn't even need to be a console exclusive. It's going to sell an obscene amount of PS5s, Xboxes.
Yep.
Geez, maybe Asus Rogers even.
Yeah, get the Roger out there in the world. So speaking of that, Grand Theft Auto publisher reiterates plans for a record turning point in its next fiscal year. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. Grand Theft Auto publisher Take-Two Interactive has reiterated, the story that we've talked about before, that it expects a major turning point in its next fiscal year. During its earnings reports for the first quarter of its fiscal 2024, which ends in March 2024, the publisher announced net bookings of $1.2 billion for the quarter, which was at the high end of its expectations. Net bookings cover the net amount of products and services sold globally, or sold digitally and sold in physically, and includes not just game sales, but other income, including licensing fees, merchandise, and in-game ads. Basically, all the money that they're bringing in. It also reiterated its previous prediction of total net bookings between $5.45 billion to $5.55 billion for the entire fiscal 2024. Looking forward, however, the publisher again made reference to its next fiscal year and reiterated its previous claims that major things are planned for this period. We remain confident that we are positioning our business for a significant inflection point in fiscal 2025, which we believe will include new record levels of operating performance, Strauss Zelnick said, who's the CEO. All right, James, so this is like 2 earnings calls in a row where they have hyped up what's happening next fiscal year. So that would be from March 2024 through March 2025. Now, I guess my big question here is, do you believe them? Because clearly they're promising Grand Theft Auto 6. Do you think Grand Theft Auto 6 is out by March 2025? Or is this them looking at their earnings reports and saying, man, we keep losing money. Even though we're one of the biggest publishers in the world, we got to promise something big. And if something bad happens later and we have to delay it, oh well. But for now, we got to keep those investors happy and say the big thing you want is happening. What do you think it is?
I think it's definitely them soothing investors, saying the big thing is coming, and them also knowing that the big thing is coming. 2025, it seems like a reasonable goalpost for them to hit for the next GTA 6. And it's just one of those things where it feels like, yeah, no, this is gonna be huge. Is it gonna be good? Who knows? Is it gonna be huge? Most definitely. Just because of the name recognition of GTA alone. You know, my parents know what GTA is because of like the horror news stories of like, this is corrupting the children.
Sure.
But it is going to do gangbusters. I think for some reason I don't feel the same hesitation that I feel right now with Starfield, because maybe it's attached to Bethesda and I think like it's going to be buggy as shit.
Sure.
But I think the thing I start to feel bad about is the poor contractors and the poor devs working at Take-Two Rockstar that are going to have to like work obscene amounts of hours to crunch this game out, because I know 2025 is still pretty far away, but for a game that will be like whatever GTA 6 is promising, it is going to be absolutely obscene amounts of work. And
Yes.
I'm not looking forward to that aspect.
I mean, and we have to assume that the bulk of that work has happened. If we are like the sprint up to the release of this game is going to be probably pretty tough for the developers. That's true for most games. But if this game is coming out by March 2025, so we're talking within 18-ish months, that is, they must be deep into development. And that's easy to believe. It's been a long time since Grand Theft Auto 5, so they almost certainly are working on something. But there has been a little bit more turbulence than maybe there's been in Rockstar's past in terms of a lot of the key figures leaving. Leslie Benzies, one of the Housers, I can never remember which one, leaving, starting their own things outside of the company. So there's like a new identity at Rockstar, and they've been working through that while also maintaining Grand Theft Auto Online as their main source of income, Red Dead Redemption 2 as well. But yeah, this is probably them figuring out, hey, we do have to start putting a sort of light at the end of the tunnel, even if it's a little bit artificial, and say, this is when we imagine this game is going to come out, so that we could begin like forcing Rockstar a little bit into a position of getting into that in-game of development. I think it's still very unlikely that this game is out in the year 2024. 2025 seems possible. But maybe, I mean, I don't know. How cynical are these CEOs? Is it something like, for a company like Rockstar, for a game like Grand Theft Auto 6, we almost need to say, here's a release date in 2024, and then with the expectation deep down in their bellies that they know they're going to delay it again. And it's like, but we need to do that sort of just to get our mind in the right place to actually finish this game. I don't know. Maybe they're that cynical. Maybe not. Maybe they really believe it. Now, Zelnick mentions when he's talking to investors that it's going to have multiple, they say, launching several groundbreaking titles we believe will set new standards in our industry and enable us to achieve over $8 billion in net bookings and over $1 billion in adjusted unrestricted operating cash flow. $8 billion in net bookings is about $3 billion more than what they did in their last record, year or whatever. So it's like that's a huge increase. Clearly, the biggest thing there is Grand Theft Auto 6, but he's saying several games. What do we do? Any idea what the other ones could be? I suppose Civilization 7 could be another one. Yeah. That's a very popular game, and it's been a long time. Like 2016, I think, is when 6 came out. So we're probably due for that. That's the other one, but does that make sense for like filling in that those $8 billion worth of net bookings?
I mean, Civ has like a giant fan base, right?
Yeah.
What else does Take-Two put out?
Yeah. Alistair Katz says Civ's not a big earner. I think it's a pretty big earner. It's almost always among the most played games on Steam, or was in the past. It has been in the past. I don't know how 6 is doing, but Civilization makes a lot of money.
I wonder, is it time to bring back the Warriors?
And that's what it is. That's what we need. The Warriors. Selector says Mafia 4. Is that them? God, that is probably them, isn't it? Yeah. I really, it's tough. I don't know. And they're saying groundbreaking. It's like even like Civilization 7 is. I guess that's just how you talk about your games. Maybe they don't really mean that way. So I don't know. It's tough to predict outside of Grand Theft Auto 6. That's such a huge thing. It's like, what else can compare to that? Well, nothing.
Well, okay, hold on.
No, it's okay. Yeah, that's Timberwolf Scout.
I wonder, table tennis didn't, Rockstar's table tennis didn't exactly set the world on fire, but it was a beloved hit.
It just needed another chance. Yeah.
You know what other sport is kind of popping off right now? Pickleball.
Ooh, Rockstar's pickleball.
Think about
they play pickleball at Rockstar. They do.
Oh yeah. Think about all the soccer moms. All the wine moms ready to play pickleball and thinking like, oh, my son doesn't have a PS5. Well, I want to play pickleball. And
you do like microtransactions with like cosmetics from like Lululemon or whatever fuck. You could sell that shit in there for $20 a pop.
You could sell that to me with the promise of wine moms in a video game. I'll pay $15 for that skin.
Hanging out in the open voice chat channels of Rockstar's Pickleball. Jan, what are you doing?
I'll be I'll be an influencer to party up with some wine moms. What's good?
Let's do it.
What's the box one? Stella Rossi, right? That's what it is.
Franzia? Dennis Franzia? That's not right. Rossi's the one that's in like the table bottle, right? It's like the table wine. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Boxed wine is important. We need to preserve it with all our hearts.
We should sell box wine.
Listen, I continue to say that we should have an alcoholic like brand, fucking the guys from Breaking Bad, or like we got our tequila brand. And Jan, I think boxed wine would be fantastic. A Giant Bomb boxed wine. Let's go.
Christian, you and me both, buddy. Well, except the Latino part, but you and me both, buddy.
Wine moms all the time. I'm glad. Wine moms need to be thought about. We need to consider the wine moms. All right. Last story out of this Take-Two earnings call. Take-Two CEO talks backward compatibility on next Nintendo system. This comes from My Nintendo News. Games Industry has had the chance to, and that's gamesindustry.biz, has had the chance to have a chat with Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick, who recently announced that the acclaimed Red Dead Redemption is coming to the Nintendo Switch later this month as a full-price release. The gaming publication quizzed Mr. Zelnick about how important he feels backwards compatibility is on the next Nintendo platforms and whether the feature has a negative impact on publishers. He answered, "I'm not sure. You need to give consumers what they want and optimize their experience, and you can't not deliver a feature you're able to deliver so as to maximize sales. That isn't fulfilling your contract with consumers. You have to do the very best you can for them. I suppose it's possible the lack of backward compatibility could enhance your revenue for a period of time, but at what cost? We're not a hardware manufacturer, so we don't get to make those decisions. But I think if you could be compatible technically, then you want to be. However, in certain instances, if the leap forward is great enough, that's not a possibility. I think that sounds exactly right to me, right, Jan? If you can do it, you should. If for some reason you can't and it's not possible, the leap better be worth it, right?
Yeah. I'm now thinking of like the Super Switch, right? Is it gonna have game carts as well?
Yes. So it's gonna have. It seems like the rumor is that it will use the game cards that was in the that the Switch used, basically. Now they might be an updated new version of it. It's, this is me kind of working backward. I've never actually thought about what's inside I know it's flash memory of some sort, but I wonder if it's like eMMC or whatever. I don't know what kind of technology is used in the game cards. There has been advancements in flash memory in like the last couple of years, and that hasn't shown up widely. And I think hopefully what can happen here is they can take advantage of some of those advantages and actually get much more space inside those cards. So it's not prohibitively expensive to have a 64 gigabyte card, something that does exist, Turbo Sean. Sorry, that's an old argument. But that they never really actually got commercially used because it was just too expensive. So games are big. They are 64 gigabytes. They're bigger than that on a lot of cases.
So
they need to do something there, but that's probably what they're going to use. I think in terms of backward compatibility overall, though, the concern is that the Switch 2 is going to be using such a different and updated version of the Tegra chip that NVIDIA has been developing consistently since the Switch came out, that it's not exactly the same platform anymore, and that they would have to use some translation layer if they wanted to get every Switch game working sort of out of the box. And even in that case, developers might have to do some work. That seems to be the consensus about what is going to happen. So that the question then becomes, does Nintendo, or more likely NVIDIA, do the work to make sure that just absolutely functions the way we expect it to? Because it's, technically it is probably going to be possible for them to do backward compatibility, but do they have the stomach to just give that to us, even though it's probably going to cause them a little bit of cost up front? I think the answer has to be yes, but it's Nintendo. We don't know, right?
Grubb, this is the dumbest hill I will die on, right? But I am still dead set that the successor of the Switch will have 2 screens. I'm dead set. You know how they're going to sell backwards compatibility? They're just going to have another thing that you strap onto your existing Switch.
Oh, okay. So the Switch U. There we go.
Exactly. Right. Everyone's worried about backwards compatibility. How are we going to do it? How are they going to do it? They're not going to do it because they're just going to give you a thing to strap on. That's going to be, always be clothing. You got it right. Nintendo's new slogan: strap it on.
Jesus. Yeah. I mean, listen, that's a winning strategy right there. That's a winning slogan. Listen, if they give me a clamshell, and what in order to get a clamshell design means 2 screens, then I'm for it. I always prefer clamshell handhelds to just the candy bar bare screen getting scratched everywhere. So yeah, I want to give me that clamshell life for sure.
Clam it up, baby.
Yeah. Well, they're probably not gonna do
why
that,
does everything we do when we say like an authoritative statement? It's just it can be okay.
Clam it up with Giant Bomb, everybody. All right, let's move on here. PlayStation sales up 27% year on year during Q1. This comes from Marie DeLassandri at GamesIndustry.biz. Sony has released its financial results for the 3 months ended June 30th, 2023, with its movie business driving income down, but PlayStation's good performance driving sales growth. For the numbers, sales were up 33% to about $20.6 billion. Net income was down 17% to about $1.51 billion. Game and network services, which is one of the segments that basically includes PlayStation, up 27% to roughly $5.38 billion. In terms of the highlights, Sony's increased sales for the quarter were partly attributed to a significant increase in sales within its games and network services segment, while the income decrease was attributed to a decline in its financial services and its pictures segments. Looking at games and network services more closely, Sony said the growth was due to an increase in sales for third-party titles and hardware, as well as an impact from foreign exchange rates. Looking at software sales, they were up 27% year on year to about $2.83 billion, representing 56.5 million copies shifted across PlayStation consoles. First-party titles represented 6.6 million units of this total. I think what's just happening here is PlayStation 5 is out there now, and that is where people spend a lot of money on that system, and now they want to buy games for it to justify it, and that is rapidly increasing. 56.5 million pieces of software shifted in a quarter is a lot. That's a ton.
Yeah.
People are buying games for their PlayStation 5, and I don't think that's too surprising. The excitement shifted from we're desperate for this hardware to we have the hardware now and we're desperate to take advantage of it. So any games out there that feel like they are make your PlayStation 5 worth it, they're going to benefit from that excitement. And here we are. And PlayStation's doing very well. It's kind of this is the best PlayStation's ever done, and it's been consistently sort of growing in that direction for years now.
Yeah. Despite everything that comes out of Jim Ryan's mouth, PlayStation is managing to do well. I mean, props to everyone around Jim Ryan, for doing.
He's a goof, and he puts his foot in his mouth, but he doesn't always, like, he almost never makes the wrong decision. It's like when it comes down to the decision making time, he knows what he's doing. He does.
Yeah. But you nailed it, Grubb. All these people have bought PS5s. Now they're looking for stuff to play. I mean, I know an obscene amount of people that bought a PS5 literally just to play Hogwarts Legacy.
Yep.
And now that they're probably done with that game or bounced off of that game, they're looking for other stuff. I've seen a lot of people find Kingdom Hearts all over again, and then have hit me up of like, hey, what happened between the second one and this one? And then I have to sit down with them for 5 to 6 days to break down the story.
Of course. Yes.
Yes.
And I mean, I think you nailed it earlier when like Hogwarts Legacy, it was one thing that sold a bunch of PS5s, and I think Grand Theft Auto 6 gonna sell a lot of PS5s. It seems likely that Sony will have the co-marketing deal for that. They've been close with Rockstar since the beginning of this generation, and going in historically, obviously, but they've like set themselves for this generation to be close with Rockstar to co-market those things. And if they get the same effect as what happened with Hogwarts Legacy, that's going to be huge, because Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be, massive.
We were talking about this yesterday with the Final Fantasy 16 and like Square News. I honestly think if Square approached the marketing for Final Fantasy 16 differently, and rework those trailers, because I'm still bummed out that the lead up to the game I was not sold at all, but actually playing through it, I've really enjoyed it.
Right.
They just need to rework those trailers and really exploit the shit out of the Game of Thrones freaks and like the fantasy medieval freaks out there.
Yep.
Because then they will eat that shit up, or twist it completely and show off how anime the game gets.
Yeah, they should have both, right? It should be an A/B test, and it's like not an A/B test where only one gets like survives in the end, but you like find the audience for each one and just like let those two prongs of Final Fantasy 16 reach out into the world and gobble all those people up. You're right, because there's a lot of both of those kinds of people. There's a lot of crossover there. It's not a separate circles with a Venn diagram, but you're right that those are the two main like appealing things about Final Fantasy 16, and yeah, they should be bulking that up. Looking ahead, Sony expects its sales for the fiscal year to reach 12.2 trillion yen. That's about $85 billion. The forecast is up 6%, compared to the one from April, and would represent an 11% rise compared to fiscal year 2022. However, its net income is expected to be down 14% year on year, just shy of $6 billion. The forecast in Sony's game segment was revised upward, though, with the company now expecting sales to reach $29.1 billion, a 14% increase over the previous fiscal year. I also believe that would be a record for the company. I don't think they've ever gotten that close to $30 billion in a fiscal year. I could be wrong about that, though. The operating income forecast for games and network services remained identical, with the company expecting an 8% growth year on year to $188 billion. Okay, let's see here. Next story. Xbox has reduced its $1 Game Pass Ultimate trial from a month down to 14 days. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. Xbox has reportedly reduced the length of its $1 Game Pass trial a month after it was reintroduced. The introductory offer previously let players get their first month of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate or PC Game Pass for $1. The deal was available for several years until Microsoft ended it in March, saying it was evaluating different marketing promotions for new members in the future. The trial returned last month, offering the same terms as before. This doesn't appear to have lasted long, however. As spotted by XGP, the Polish Xbox site was offering just 14 days of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for 4 zloty, which I think is about equivalent to $1, rather than a full month as usual. VGC can confirm that the offer appears to have changed accordingly in other regions too, offering 14 days for $1, €1, and £1, respectively, depending on your territory, instead of a month. This comes when we are about a little bit over 14 days from Starfield coming out right now. Jan, it's hard not. I mean, obviously, this is what's happening, right? So much of what Microsoft is lining up in terms of like how all of their services work, like including getting rid of Xbox Live Gold and all this stuff, and trying to get people more into Game Pass and reconsidering this $1 deal in the first place, and now shrinking it down to 14 days. They feel comfortable to do this because they think Starfield's going to be big, right?
Oh yeah, this is. I mean, we had Phil on the couch almost kind of saying this, where it's more important to get everyone in the door because they're just going to slam it shut and keep them in there.
Yep, exactly. And it's like, I think 14 days doesn't seem like enough to play Starfield. Right? It's just
no, exactly. Like you're gonna get people in and like just learning the systems, and then you'll befriend your little robot buddy. You'll find all these fun planets, and then sorry, y'all, you gotta pay up. The dollar isn't enough anymore.
And you know, I know people that were just doing the $1 deal over and over again, even though it was supposed to be only for like new subscribers or whatever. I think people just make new email addresses is kind of how it would work. But you know, shrinking it down to 14 days, that's not too out of line for how these things usually work. I think for Netflix did that for like 10 years, right? It was like a 2-week free trial or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's probably like, then like this still feels like a pretty good incentive for people to try it.
And you know what is going to happen to a lot of folks that are adopting Game Pass is that they'll realize that it feels like a steal, right? To only pay X amount a month for a game as expansive as Starfield, and then if they bounce off of Starfield, they have a pretty expansive library available. So you will at least get folks signing up for 2-3 months.
Yep.
And hey, perhaps forgetting that they've signed up for Game Pass after they bounce off of it.
I think it's this that balance of giving people a lot so they feel comfortable handing over that credit card info, which is, you know, that's the biggest hurdle. Like people like look at something and they're like, yeah, it's so much easier not to give you my credit card info than to actually do that. And so it's like that $1 for a month made a lot of sense for a very long time, right? It's a small little price that you can say in your head, that's $1. I'll remember to cancel it. And then I get a full month. And it's like that. It's so much that a lot of people would do that and play a couple of the games they wanted to play and then actually just cancel and not come back, I think. Now, I mean, the Game Pass has been steadily growing. So this was working to a certain extent, but I think they've also plateaued. And they've admitted as much on console, at least. They've plateaued to a certain extent because they've just reached a certain physical barrier of how many people have Xboxes versus, you know, how many people want to, engage with game purchases in this way. But as more people come into the ecosystem for big games like Starfield, it does feel like they want to take maximum advantage of that. And here we are. And I think this is them setting things up so that they can do exactly that with Starfield. It probably does work as well, right? This should be like the next time we hear about Game Pass's numbers after Starfield, it should be significantly higher than the 25 million we heard last time, right?
I could only assume so, right?
Yeah, me too.
Would it be disingenuous to market games on Game Pass as free, or could you say free with subscription?
I think you have to say included with subscriction, right? At no additional charge with subscription. I think it's okay to say that. Free is you can't get away with that. I mean, even if it was on the couch, remember, like I think Tam asked, was like, "How are you getting away with all this stuff with like basically it's free?" And he's like, "We charge people." And it's like, "Oh yeah, we always forget that." Like I get that mixed up too, but yeah, so they probably wouldn't be able to say free, but they can twist the language to again maximize the effect of what they're doing, right?
Yes, yes. So Nilok actually echoes something that I've been thinking about a lot. Does the average gamer care about Starfield, right? Outside of this sphere where we work and operate in, does your person that's playing Call of Duty or Fortnite care about Starfield? And then I think about how well Cyberpunk sold initially. And then I didn't think that the audience was that big for Cyberpunk. So I'm only assuming now that there's a lot of space freaks out there. It's a very freak episode. I'm sorry.
It should follow a similar trajectory to Cyberpunk, right? That's a very good analogy, I think, Jan, because they're coming off of Witcher 3, the thing that they're known for, the thing that was beloved by so many fans, and then they're like, we're doing Cyberpunk. It's an IP most of you aren't familiar with, and it's it's a completely different genre in terms of setting, and all of that applies here. And I think a lot of people would assume, well, people know Elder Scrolls, and they definitely know Elder Scrolls. Like I mentioned, I was at Medieval Times, and the drunk lady next to me was like, when are we going to get another Elder Scrolls? And
Did she know you worked in games?
No. I was very close to asking her if she knew about Starfield. But she was talking to somebody else. She was talking to her friend. Like I just overheard. I was eavesdropping. And I was like,
she profiled you, Grubb.
Yeah, that's great. They're just trying to get my attention. I was like, I almost asked about Starfield, but I'm like, I bet they don't know about Starfield. I guess the other thing is the marketing for Starfield hasn't actually even fully kicked in. Now I did start seeing some like ads for it on like Reddit and stuff, but I haven't seen any of it. Like, have there been TV commercials where we are now officially less than a month out? So if that's happening, I haven't seen it, but I guess I don't watch a lot of TV with commercials anymore. So I guess I don't really know. But yeah, we're going to see. And clearly it's not going to do exactly what Cyberpunk did, because this is in Game Pass and that will have an effect on overall sales. But this should be one of the fastest selling Xbox games of all time, period. I just can't, even with Game Pass factoring in, I expected to sell several million copies in the first week. Like, we're talking 3, 4, 5 million copies, like, especially when you factor in PC. So we'll see if that happens or not. All right, let's get through some of these other stories. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 reveal set for next week inside Warzone. Here's exactly when. This comes from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. A reveal trailer for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is coming on August 9th, but that's just the beginning of Activision's plans to reveal the game. An official reveal event is set for August 17th in the Battle Royale game Call of Duty Warzone. Activision has confirmed. Activision revealed this through a text message promotion. If you text ready to a number, Activision will text you to tell you there is a major conflict incoming. We need someone like you with the experience in Al-Marzah. A follow-up reads, yeah. Uh-oh. What's up? You waving?
Oh, no. I was like, no, thank you. I'm not texting Activision. Shit.
Yeah, I'm not giving Bobby Kotick my number. You're right. Absolutely. So but basically, though, we knew this was happening. Now we have a better idea of like actually what the timeline looks like there. So Modern Warfare 3 happening very soon, and Warzone is where they're going to do much of the reveal. I did see some screenshots leak. It looks pretty good. No, that's my social security card. Don't show people that. Okay, thanks, kiddo. But yeah, I saw some screenshots. It's looking very technologically impressive. They did a lot of fire tech, and the fire tech looks good. But I don't know what needs to happen to move you towards Modern Warfare 3, Jan.
No, I don't think they can do it.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I mean, unless they actively promote antagonizing Jeff Bakalar and forcing him to party up with the three of us hooligans again, because that's a good time for me.
Yeah, I had a great time doing that. Badgering and annoying Jeff Bakalar is basically what we get paid for here, right? Like, so.
Yeah, we're professional badgers.
He says ain't happening. That means it's totally happening. The PlayStation's totally plugged in over here. You have to give me a second, okay? I'll get it going. Why is there a thing of ramen? Okay. Street Fighter 6 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle costumes cost almost as much as the game. This comes from Ethan Gotch at Kotaku. I love a video game crossover as much as the next person, and fighting games are a perfect platform for absurd matchups. Unfortunately, at $50 each, the price of the new Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello costumes in Street Fighter 6 is giving a lot of players sticker shock. Announced during EVO, they confirmed that these are coming into the game. And they are, each skin, $15. Jan, it's a big price, but that's also kind of in line with where skins are at. Now, I talked to some fighting game fans in my life, including Turbo Sean, and he's like, it's a full price game, right? So this feels a bit tough, but Call of Duty's, obviously that Call of Duty has Warzone, and that is free to play, and the skins work in there. So maybe it's not the exact same thing, but there's also a full price version of that game that many people do buy into, and then they buy skins that are $20. Definitely part of this is the economy of licensing these things is expensive, and they're trying to maximize their return on that. But also, I think they have built in an expectation that this is how much skins cost, right?
Yeah. This is just. I mean, it should be very expensive to buy actual skin, right? I hope it is, if that is a market that exists out there. But to buy virtual skins of stuff, this has been the growing trend, right? And I still feel the sticker shock. I was joking about the cost earlier in the show, but like 15 per turtle is a lot. What was
Every Buster in chat says horse armor was $15 US. That's not true. I thought it was like $1.50. Wasn't it like, I don't think it was $15 back then for horse armor would have been bananas.
That would have caused an outrage, riots.
3, and people are saying 6 and 3. I guess who knows? With inflation, that's basically $15 now. So
yeah, Christian is reading my mind again. Where I will drop stupid money in Fortnite to get a stupid skin.
I mean,
Fortnite is free, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think these companies they don't want us thinking about that. Like they want us to think about what's the skin worth in a vacuum. And it's like you're a fucking idiot. You fucking love this turtle man wearing a mask. That you need it because you need to go back to your childhood. So pay us the money, bitch. It's like, okay, God.
All right, calm down.
Yeah.
And based off of the reception of Street Fighter 6, and I really like the game. I wish I could spend more time in it. It definitely feels like it is a game that has legs and will go and last for a long time, hopefully. That this $15 investment in your turtle, preferred turtle, would go a long way.
All right, we're trying to get this switch on over here. Hang on, sorry. Yeah, there you go.
No, it's fine. I'm just thinking, hey, everyone has their one favorite turtle. Why are you going to buy all 4, right?
Yeah, it's...
People are like, oh, I hate Leonardo. Well, don't buy Leonardo.
Yeah, don't buy Leonardo. In fact, you don't deserve Leonardo. Jen, I got your back.
Thank you.
My little brother was always a Leonardo, and Cyclops as well. You should hang out with Jason Grubb. You would get along. You guys definitely got a lot going on together for sure.
Which turtle is going to be the top seller? It has to be Mikey, right?
I think so. I like to think of myself as having very vanilla and broad tastes, and I like Michelangelo, and so I think Michelangelo's going to sell the best. Yes. All right. Let's do these last couple here. Yes, Nintendo patents Tears of the Kingdom loading screen, abilities, map, and more. This comes from Jordan Miller at VGC. Nintendo has patented some of Link's abilities in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, as well as other elements of the game. As reported by Automaton, Nintendo has filed several patents related to Link's Ultra Hand and Fuse abilities from the game. Man, Rare's going to be mad. The company has also patented the game's loading screen. In Tears of the Kingdom, when fast traveling between areas, the game will show the player where they currently are on the map and will then transition to the new location after the loading is complete. That actually is a fantastic thing. I love that. It's like it's just like a good way of orientating yourself while also providing something interesting on the screen just to look at, even if you're not worried about that. It was a really good thing. And so I get it. They patented a whole bunch of other things. Video game software, like mechanical patents, are bad. They shouldn't do this. They shouldn't. But it's something they get away with. So here's the thing: is I don't know how much these companies will actually try to enforce these things, and there's usually creative ways to get around patents. For the and patents last 20 years, so it's not like this is a copyright thing where we will all be long dead by the time that these things have passed. But 20 years is still a significant amount of time. And if Nintendo ends up suing like other big publishers that are trying to do anything similar to these things, I would find that very frustrating. I don't know. How about you, Jan?
I'm really curious to see what the internal conversation was like when Genshin Impact came out, because I remember a lot of folks just saying like, "Oh, this is anime Breath of the Wild, waifu Breath of the Wild, Breath of the waifu." Breath of the waifu. That I don't think that was Nintendo thinking that another company was like eating their lunch, but like heavily capitalizing off of Breath of the Wild's blueprints and everything. So I wonder if that is part of the motivation, that there's going to be like another mobile game or another game from some other dev heavily copying a good chunk of stuff from Tears of the Kingdom and kind of repurposing that to a game that will also sell gangbusters.
Yep. And a lot of those things, a lot of things that made Genshin Impact feel like Breath of the Wild are stuff you can't patent, and they're like ideas, and you can't really copyright ideas. You can only copyright like actual stories and things like that. So it was always like Nintendo would probably, even in the most egregious example, doesn't always have a lot of legs to stand on, but that's not necessarily how these things work. Nintendo builds up an armory of patents and copyrights and trademarks, and then it can use that and its lawyers to then threaten and ask for ceases and desists to scare people out of doing something. And that's kind of what this is going to be about, is them using that stuff. And even that is crossing the line for me, I think. I do not like that.
Yeah. You know what we should do for a one-off stream? Maybe this would be a cool themed UPF. We should explore all of the kind of clone-like games aping off of other games. Because I've seen so many games scrolling through my TikTok feed of ads for games that look exactly like Hades.
Yeah, I would like that. That would be fun.
And someone just posted in chat a game that I think in another time might occupy too much of my time because it's called Girls Frontline 2, and it's just XCOM with girls.
Blank with girls is definitely a popular genre on mobile. I mean, that's basically what Genshin Impact is, right? It's it's Zelda with waifus.
Grubb, we need to somehow immediately get into game development, and the bubble on hot anime girls is going to burst, right?
Sure.
Contrary to popular belief, we got to capitalize off of that because that bubble's bursting. We got to go for dad bods in games.
Yeah, dad bods that turn into giant warships. That's what we should do. All right, I'm ready. I want to play that game where the girls are old Sega games. Like there's like apparently that's a thing. I think one's like Altered Beast.
Genesis on her chest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, give me that. That's what I need to be playing. I'm gonna find out where that is and download it. Okay, running out of time here. Tech writer sues Apple, claiming Tetris movie ripped off his Cold War thriller book. This is from Ollie Welsh at Polygon. Tech journalist Dan Ackerman claims Apple's movie Tetris ripped off his 2016 book, The Tetris Effect, and is suing Apple, the movie's producers and screenwriter, and the Tetris company itself for millions of dollars in damages. Attorneys for Ackerman, who is the editor-in-chief of tech website Gizmodo, filed a suit in New York federal court on Monday, claiming the Tetris company, its CEO, Maya Rogers, who is the daughter of Hank Rogers, who is who's the main character in the movie, and the screenwriter Noah Pink, adapted his book without his consent. The suit also names Apple as the distributor of the movie and several production companies involved in the making of the film as defendants. Tetris tells the story of how Alexei Pajitnov's classic puzzle game created in Soviet Russia came to be popularized in the West. It focuses on Hank Rogers, played by Taron Egerton, in the movie, the Dutch-American entrepreneur who was instrumental in securing the rights for the game for Nintendo's Game Boy version in a 1989 wrangle with Soviet authorities that also involved shady British media mogul Robert Maxwell, among others. Basically, the story here, Jan, is Ackerman wrote this book. It came out 2016-ish. He sent a copy over, and he interviewed everyone at the Tetris company, sent a copy over. And then 2017, the Tetris company starts developing this movie. And there are a lot of similarities between his book and the movie, and especially setting it as like a Cold War thriller in terms of like the way that the plot progresses. Now, the Tetris company's biggest argument is going to be, this is just our story. This is just the actual thing that happened. And how are you going to claim that you have a copyright ownership over that? This happened to the people who founded this company. But in Hollywood, it is traditional to be safe to actually go out and option, whether it's magazine articles or biographies or whatever, the actual written word of someone writing about something that really happened. It's traditional to secure the rights to that and then adapt that just to be safe so that something like this doesn't happen. And I think Ackerman probably is going to have a case. I think so. This is going to be interesting. And I think that they probably should just pay up and get it. Like that's probably the right thing to do here, because there are a lot of similarities. Now, maybe the other side of the argument here is there are a lot of other stories and books and documentaries created about Tetris, and hope they're gonna maybe we can point to all these other things doing the exact same thing. So even Dan Ackerman's book isn't some original work, but I think they might be in a tough situation there. Overall, though, pay writers, right?
Oh yes, pay writers, please. Yeah, 500%. Apple, you could do that.
You could do that, Apple. Yeah, he's seeking about 6% of the company's $80 million production budget, so several $1 million. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Around 5 million-ish. Yep. Okay. And then let's see here. I think I have anything else. No, that's it. That's going to do it for the news. I have a poll question from yesterday, though. Let me get that going. Where did I put that? There we go. And that poll question is reptile ? And then your options were human or lizard. 37% said human. 63% said lizard. I voted for human. Listen, of course, he's got to also be lizard, but I prefer human, ninja, reptile. But chat and everyone else, you know what? This just makes me think the lizard people are out there and they're controlling everything, Jan.
Maybe we also could have phrased the question, is reptile in Mortal Kombat a human or lizard, and not just reptile? Because then folks would be like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Lizard is a reptile versus a human. Folks, a poll is not a quiz. Just want to let you know.
Now I'm seeing the problem here. You're right. Maybe you might be onto something. We'll have a new poll question here in a second. In the meantime, though, what do we have happening on Giant Bomb today? I don't think anything else is happening, right?
Bat Grubb is happening.
Shit!
Grubb. you got to go get that vigilante gamer.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, another episode of Game Mess Mornings, as well as Friday. Thursday night throwdown happening in the middle of the day on Thursday. Voicemail dump truck with or maybe without Jeff Jarrett. We'll see. Who knows? Bookings happen. Scheduling conflicts happen. So,
guitars fall off the shelves onto heads.
He's gotten into a tiff with Greg Miller of Kind of Funny. Who knows?
Yeah, he could be in
Greg
jail.
Miller may be out for blood.
Right. Greg Miller's very litigious. So
that's what everyone says. And then UPF this Friday, we may be checking out more Baldur's Gate 3 and the continued shenanigans of our motley crew.
I'm looking forward to that. Should we try to swap someone else in into, because I think we have 2 slots left that we can bring other people in to create characters. So
yeah, you know what? Let's see if Tam Lucy are free, or Mike, or perhaps Bailey.
Yeah, definitely.
God, I feel like Bailey's just gonna talk shit about how I don't play video games.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Oh, that reminds me. New Honest Games trailer's out, and a lot of my jokes are in there. So so check that out. That was fun to help write that Pikmin 4 video. And it was a good time. So thanks to Bailey for using my stuff and giving the credit there. It's a good thing. But she did so much work in making my jokes actually funny. Turns out having someone who knows what they're doing helps a lot. So
turns out, huh?
Yeah, good stuff there. All right, new poll question. Got it right here. Have you ever bought a cosmetic skin that was priced higher than $10? Yes.
Oh yeah.
Or no?
Yes. Several times.
I will have to say, I cannot tell a lie. I will have to say yes. So that poll is going. It's up on youtube.com/giantbomb community tab. Get it there.
There's also a fantastic video that Lucy and Tam did about getting good in Street Fighter 6.
Yes.
I think Lucy's going to go to Evo next year.
I think so too. I think
we should abandon our dreams.
Yeah, I'm going to watch her get good, and I'm going to try to emulate what she does.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm so excited to play TF2, Grubb.
Yeah, TF2. That's gonna be. I got it ready to go. I checked it out. We just make our own custom server right there in the game, so it's gonna be all good. Gonna be a fun time. I might play a little bit tonight to get my my Team Fortress 2 legs underneath me. I never spent much time with that game, so I played it a little bit way back in the day. But
I play too much. I'm probably garbage now in to modern day standards. But I used to play TF2 on a 2014 MacBook Pro without a mouse, just using the WASD keyboard and a trackpad, and I got pretty tricky with it.
Ooh. I would like to see that. Okay, we are gonna wrap up. Jan, thank you so much for spending today talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Grubb.
Lucy, hope you're feeling better. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow on giantbomb.com. Until then, have a good one. Take care of yourself. You're the best audience in gaming, and goodbye.